My parents stole all of my money. This happened in 2015. I was 18 and about to move out on my own. Prior to this, I had a savings account my parents helped me set up, and I'd been putting money into it any way I could for almost 3 years. Birthday money, odd jobs, part-time after-school jobs, washing dishes, anything I could. And I'd managed to get a few thousand into it. I'd really been wanting to move out because I had 2 little brothers that absolutely drove me up a wall. My parents loved making me the live-in babysitter whenever I wasn't working, which is why I used the excuse to work as much as I could. When the time came, I wanted to move out. My parents said they wanted me to stay because they needed my help and were wanting me to start paying rent to help with the bills. But I held my ground that I wanted to live on my own. I'd already paid the deposit and first month's rent on an apartment without telling them, and by that point, I had a local full-time job, so I was set to move out after about another month. So when they found that out, they freaked out and told me to get out that day if I wanted to be out on my own so bad. I packed what I could and left to go to my aunt and uncle's house. It was a 4-mile ride with a bicycle that I had a small trailer hooked to. When I told my aunt and uncle what happened, they were very angry and took me in right away. A couple days later, I went to withdraw all the money from my account and I saw it was empty. My parents had come in the day before and cleaned it out. All the bank could do was give me a balance statement saying so. Because my parents were co-signers on the account, that meant they had access to the money too. I was livid and immediately told my aunt and uncle as soon as I could. They were beyond angry too. Then my aunt got an idea and started calling up other members of the family to tell them what my parents had done. It wasn't long before everybody knew. My other aunts and uncles, cousins, and grandparents were furious and let my parents have it. I don't know what kind of excuse my parents gave them, but it didn't work. The next time I saw my parents, they showed up to my aunt's and uncle's house to yell at me. When they saw me, my mother threw some money at me and called me an ungrateful brat for telling everyone. My aunt then said it was her who told everyone, not me. I looked at the money they'd thrown me, and it was just some play kids money my brothers had. I asked where the real money was, and my parents said they already used it to pay off a credit card debt. I said I wanted the money they stole from me back for real, but they refused and said it was their right to take it since they opened the account for me, and I still have a job. My expenses at the moment were fine because my next paycheck was deposited in a new account, and I was able to save until the apartment was ready, but my parents took a lot of heat from my aunt and uncle until they left. My cousin also used to babysit for my parents when I was busy, and she not only refused to do so again after what they did, but told me she put out the word to other teen babysitters on social media to avoid my parents because they were thieves. By the time I was living in my apartment, my parents finally couldn't take the social stigma anymore and met me to compromise. They said they couldn't pay me back all at once and asked for a payment plan. I had the exact number of the amount they'd stolen, and I said I wanted it all back. They actually tried to haggle me down to half the total, but I refused to take anything but the full amount. They reluctantly agreed and gave me $200 a month in cash for 2 years before it was all paid back. Now I barely see my parents, let alone speak to them, and they clearly still blame me for what happened too, because their reputation in the family never recovered. But I don't care. They were thieves that paid the piper. So I did the math, and it looks like these parents stole $4,800 from their kid. I mean, how gross and disgusting is that? I cannot fathom trying to work so hard to get your own apartment, only to then find out that your savings that you've worked so hard for is completely cleaned out. You would hope that you would be able to trust your parents with something as precious as money in a situation like this. But it sounds like this person has terrible parents who are just absolute garbage human beings. It's also really cool that their extended family came to their defense and shunned these parents for the thieves that they are. At the end of the day, you got to be careful and look out for yourself because you never know when something like this could happen to you, even with people you would think would love and care for you the most.
The full video is on Am I the Jerk, so check out the link in the description for that, and if there are any updates, that's where they'll be. But also, there's a playlist that has all the stories for Am I the Jerk and Am I the Genius. So if you click that playlist, it'll just play one long story after another. This is a good option for people that are completionists and want to listen to every story on the channel. That way it makes it easy if you just want to throw it on in the background and play some games or work out or zone out. And the playlist is already here on YouTube, so you don't have to go anywhere.